Welcome to the Nailsin Ratings, and once again talking about Doctor Who, the third episode in the new series with Jodie Whittaker. This episode called Rosa because it's about Rosa Parks, and so they finally got the TARDIS back at the end of the last episode, and the Doctor's trying to get her companions. Apparently, companions is a bad word. You never know when the next word will be forbidden. So her very best friends trying to get them back home, but the TARDIS has a mind of its own and takes them to Alabama in the 50s. And immediately, first thing they do is run into Rosa Parks. What are the odds? And as it turns out, there's evil Fonzie from the future, who is also a Klansman of some sort. Wants to stop Rosa Parks from getting on the bus. Little does he know, and apparently the writers of Doctor Who as well, as it wouldn't have mattered because another woman before Rosa Parks had already done this, but she's lost to history, I guess. And Rosa Parks probably would have done it again later. So the whole plot is really rather stupid. And even if evil Fonzie had won and stopped Rosa Parks from getting on the bus, the Doctor could just hop in the TARDIS and start over. Beat him again. There's little tidbits here that you think would lead to something else for an overall story of Doctor Who. Once again, you've got a time traveler who has a time traveling watch or whatever it is, which reminded me of Captain Jack, and I don't know if that's supposed to be the same thing. Maybe. I didn't watch Torchwood, so maybe they were more in depth about that. So if there's any connection at all, I don't know. If you do, you can put it in the comments, I guess. But there's no mention there. Doctor Who doesn't pay attention to its continuity again and again and again, even within the new series and even within a few episodes. So you never know what they'll do. It's very lazy and sloppy, and it's sad. So when you deal with time travel, the idea was always stated that, you can't change history. You can't. There's terrible repercussions. The only time they showed repercussions for it was when Rose, way back with Eccleston, did save her father from dying. And then the penalty was bat creatures. These bat creatures showed up. Yeah, that was really stupid. But so that was the penalty, and the doctor at the time said, if the Time Lords were still around, they'd fix this sort of thing. Oh, but they're not. Little did he know that they were, but we hadn't gotten to that yet. And so, I guess we could say that the Time Lords are around now. So if the Time Lords are in action to deal with this sort of crime against time, they could fix it. But the last time we saw the Time Lords, they weren't in the best of shape, so they couldn't even stop Clara. And there again, you can't change time. Oh, but I gotta save Claire. And nothing happened. I mean, I guess she eventually, like she said, she'd get back there eventually, and yeah, whatever, nothing matters. A little amnesia solved that one. And then, but of course, then you had the whole thing with Matt Smith saying, time can be rewritten. And then it couldn't. Nothing's ever really set in stone or explained. And if you're not going to do that, you probably shouldn't have dealt with it in the first place. But, yeah. They don't deal with it here either. So, of course, like I said, even if evil Fonzie had won, the Doctor could outdo him with the TARDIS. So, yeah. And, of course, it wouldn't change much. So, the idea is that, they wanted to be educational and do some time travel stories where you could learn about people in history, which you could do, like, say, they meet Rosa Parks and they talk about it, and then deal with their own story, which I thought is what maybe they would have done, but instead, no. It's like I said, it's evil Fonzie is a racist from the future. Yeah. There is no clan anymore. It's gone. I mean, unless you want to count meth heads in a trailer park, but I don't think those guys are going to invent a time machine. I really don't. So there's that. So when you do these quantum leap type scenarios, you end up risking being disrespectful to history, and it's kind of unavoidable and to where you wouldn't do it at all. But hey, you got a TV show to do. So they mentioned Emmett Till. Now it's in a scene that you can argue makes sense, and Rosa warning Ryan about Emmett Till's story. But boy, Emmett Till, that's one of the most horrific stories of the civil rights movement and battle against segregation and what have you. This was a young boy who was abducted and tortured to death, and then his killers were acquitted because the jury was mostly Klansmen, and then they bragged about the killing to a magazine. Because of double jeopardy, they could never be tried again. So is it really worth condemning Doctor Who over that they just mentioned it, and since it made sense and all that? Probably not. It's just such a delicate subject matter to, is it disrespectful for it to be in a cheesy sci-fi show, which this one certainly was. It's not a very good writing staff here so far. So it just bothers me, but I can't in all honesty say you can never ever mention it, because you should mention it, but what's the context and what avenue do you discuss it without running the risk of being disrespectful to his memory? I don't know. I mean, because it goes back to, like I said, the quantum leap plots and all that sort of thing. Are you being disrespectful to Rosa Parks? And I suppose you could argue that you are, in that, hey, you know how it really happened? Well, Doctor Who and her friends were there to make sure she got on the bus and all that. But Emmett Till, you would want to handle far more delicately. And it's only a mention, so, okay. No mention of the party that was in charge of this sort of thing. Yes, that's right. Democrats wrote segregation and Jim Crow laws. And, in that era, the Civil Rights Act had already been written, and President Eisenhower was ready to sign it, but it got blocked. That's right, by Senate Majority Leader Lyndon Baines Johnson. Huh, how about that? Yeah, why go into the details? So, there you go. It's for Jodie's performance. Now we have 3 episodes. How good is Jodie's Doctor? Not very. So there's maybe a few little moments here and there. It was an interesting thing, because I thought, the interesting whole point of the Doctor becoming a woman is that you would devote some amount of time for the Doctor adjusting to it, and they could have some kind of exploration for it, and maybe some discussions on Time Lord regeneration and all that sort of thing. Nah. And by now, it's too late to do it. You're 3 episodes in. It's time to move on. But there, every now and then there's a thing like the Doctor was trying to get to the TARDIS and said, "Come to Daddy," and said, or Mommy as it is, that kind of thing. And then here again, the Doctor says, "I'm still getting used to being called ma'am." So there's some, lip service to it. But again, does it mean anything? Like I keep saying, that people wondered still, even after the last Capaldi episode, that, it could have been other incarnations of the Doctor before Hartnell, and it could have been a woman and all that. No, not for the continuity they established. But then again, is there any continuity? Because they just twist and turn and throw things around, like can time be changed and all that. And so apparently it can, and the Doctor had to have a Scooby-Doo adventure here to make sure everything worked out right. So, the strongest actors appear to be Ryan and Graham, and that's about it. So I'm beginning to see why Jodie was not the first choice. I don't know much about Olivia Colman. A lot of people online were saying, they wish it would be her. And the rumor was that she was approached and she turned it down. But probably, would have been better just based on Jodie. Now there's more episodes to come. Maybe she'll get better, but so I was expecting the preaching political stuff to be so over the top and bad, and that it would piss me off and I'd quit by now. Even with an episode like this, it was more stupid than irritating or nauseating or what have you. This was just a boring episode, and there's not much there to grasp onto. The previous episode was just not worth looking at. This one, where they're working together and that sort of thing, had some sort of moments, which is why I'm gonna go ahead and give it a star. But it's like I'm rewarding it for not being as bad as I thought it would be. And that's about it. They need to get some genuine people who understand adventure and science fiction to help this series. I mean, you've made this big move and you don't even respect it. Because even this, the time travel story with Rosa Parks and everything could have been better done, but just the silliness of it and the just not taking it seriously, of where they just happen to walk into her and all this sort of thing. And then, my buddy Elvis is going to get tickets to a Frank Sinatra concert so we can get this other bus driver. This whole thing. And so Elvis knows the doctor. And then when the doctor shows up as a woman, he just... Elvis knows all that too, huh? Oh, doctor, you telling me you're a woman now? Huh. Well, how about that? I mean, you weren't supposed to think about it more than 2 seconds, because the writers didn't think about it even for 1 second. So, isn't it silly? Haha, Doctor Who knows Elvis. But that's a lot of involvement there. And no, nothing matters. See, this is where it shows you don't respect your own show. So, no continuity, no respect for the own show, and not much there for the doctor. Oh, she changed her shirt apparently. Isn't it supposed to be like a dark blue, but it was kind of a red now? So, yeah. I don't really care about the shirt. Those pants? You need to get some better pants. Those pants are really stupid. And redesign the TARDIS too. The outside's okay. It reminds me of the old days, so that's cool. But boy, they just can't seem to get that control room right. But it's a step back in my opinion. So, well, there you go. Oh yeah, and the pop song. See, that was disrespectful to Doctor Who and Rosa Parks. It's just stupid. So, yeah. So, when you're teaching history, they weren't teaching history at all. They just, racism's bad. So, yes, it is. And that's about it. So, you probably aren't cut out for education. So, and you're not apparently cut out for science fiction and adventure. Doctor Who's in trouble. You got terrible writers who are apparently far worse than Jodie's lackluster performance, which could get better. She could grow into it, but she's going to need better stories if you want to make this work. And so far, it's not. There you go, Doctor Who, Rosa. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, why don't you like and subscribe, and check out the links below for my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Bye-bye.